The following program is brought to you by Total Theater Online. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the staff or management of WGBB. You're listening to the station that serves your community, 1240 WGBB. And now it's time for Dave's Gone By with David Lefkowitz.
Well, there goes the neighborhood. Welcome to the 131st episode of this little show, Dave's Gone By. We are here every Thursday night at 7 on AM 1240 WGBB in Freeport, New York. Well, actually Babylon, New York, and live streaming on the web at am1240wgbb.com. We are a mix of smart talk, silly talk, special talk, and music, sponsored by Hewlett Minuteman Press, the Copy Kings, and hosted by me, Dave Lefkowitz, radio personality, theater critic, journalist, and humorist. Tonight, June 16th, 2005, my wife's birthday, by the way, so happy birthday, honey bun, many, many more, and a special night deserves a special show. That's exactly what I've got for you from now till 8 p.m. A whole range of entertainment barely contained within the confines of a 57-minute hour. We'll start with our weekly theater segment, Inside Broadway, because a Broadway show is opening tonight. Odd as it may seem, this time of year, Broadway keeps Broadwaying. Plus, we'll give a look to some off-Broadway shows, too, on Inside Broadway, a segment sponsored by Performing Arts Insider, Theater Magazine, which gives Dave's Gone By listeners 10% off subscriptions, so check out performingartsinsider.com for more on that. And then, after Inside Broadway, a segment I'm doing more and more called Dave Goes Off. It's my little corner of the world to do the Andy Rooney, Harry Shearer, Dennis Miller thing, and going off on a topic or a rant or a serio-comic spiel. Tonight's Dave Goes Off springs from the pages of AM New York newspaper, where they did a front-page story about some rather unsettling adult toys on sale in Manhattan. No, not those kinds of adult toys. I'm all for those. These are historical curios that, lacking that essential ingredient, irony, are basically tasteless and offensive, even to moi. So I'll get into all of that on Dave Goes Off tonight. Also, this evening, the return of the World Weird Web. Haven't done that segment in a long time. That's where we look at odd and interesting and goofy websites on the internet, as opposed to websites in the fridge. And tonight, something really funny. Something I can talk about on the radio, but I can't play on the radio. In fact, if I were to play just one selection from this website, I would probably be hit with an FCC fine greater than the entire debt of United Airlines. So I will be careful, as I am every week. In fact, I always caution listeners that Dave's Gone By is rated DGB-13. That's the Dave's Gone By equivalent of the movie's PG-13. Even though so much of our content is really pretty PG rated, we like to cover our bases and base our covers. And we will be alluding to a passel of naughty words in our World Weird Web segment later on tonight. Say that 5 times fast, will you? World Weird Web, plus Dave Goes Off, Inside Broadway, and a special guest. 2 special guests, actually, for an interview. Very excited to have actor, singer, Broadway, and TV star Mandy Patinkin joining us for a phone interview in a few minutes. Mandy's going to be in a fall TV series called Criminal Minds. You might remember him from Chicago Hope, another hospital show which ran up against ER but didn't have quite as many respirators. But Mandy won a Tony for his breakthrough role as Che Guevara in Evita. He was also Tony-nominated for his finest work as George in Sunday in the Park with George. He's done a couple of solo concerts on Broadway, including Mama Loshen, an evening of Yiddish song very near and dear to him. In fact, he's doing Mama Loshen again tonight, one night only, as a benefit for the Volksbühne Yiddish Theater. So we'll hear more about that on the Inside Broadway segment, and hopefully directly from him, when he talks not to me, but to my other special guest, Rabbi Sol Solomon. Yes, the one and only Rebbe returns. Rabbi Solomon is, of course, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. He's a somewhat controversial figure for his outspoken views, although he generally means well. I kind of see him as the Howard Dean of American Jewry, but he's thrilled to be conducting this interview with Mandy Patinkin, talking all about his career and Jewish culture and Broadway and television. It should be Don't Miss Radio. And you're not missing it. You're staying right here till 8 o'clock for Dave's Gone By, which gets underway just a moment or two from now. And Dave Lefkowitz is here for the play-by-play by Dave in his book of plays, Marriage, Babies, and the End of the World. Comedies, satirical, silly, sad, and strange, all collected in a great-looking book. Just $20 hardcover, $12 soft, 516-295-1511, or davesgoneby.com for Marriage, Babies, and the End of the World. Da-da-da-da-da! Play Dave! Do you believe in pod? Not God, pod. Being able to download radio from the internet and listen to a podcast anytime, anywhere. Well, now you can do it with Dave's Gone By. 20 full episodes downloadable from theaterpod.com. Even without an iPod, you can just listen right on your computer. Go to theaterpod.com for radio on demand and hours of Dave's Gone By to enjoy. Theaterpod.com. It's free because pod is low. Inside Broadway, brought to you by Total Theater's Performing Arts Insider, your everything theater guide. There's a Broadway opening tonight. Yes, I know it's almost summer and the Tony Awards are over and this is beach weather, not balcony weather, but still. The Roundabout Theater is reviving an old comedy of manners by Somerset Maugham called The Constant Wife. It's all about the perfect wife with a perfect life, except for the fact that her husband's been cheating on her. The question, does she put everything at risk by acknowledging what everybody else already knows, all the gossips, all the high society friends, or does she play her cards a little differently and win the hand through subtle strategy? Should be pretty entertaining, not the least because we don't get many Somerset Maugham revivals anymore. One of the great things about him was he was so versatile. He published his first novel, Liza of Lambeth, in 1897, and then wrote a bunch of plays at the turn of the century. He's probably best known for the novels Of Human Bondage and Razor's Edge, but he also had much success with plays, including Rain and The Circle, and 1927's The Constant Wife. The Roundabout production stars a quartet of familiar Broadway faces, including two-time Tony nominee Kate Burton, yes, she's the daughter of the late Richard Burton, and Lynn Redgrave, daughter of Michael and sister of Vanessa. Also, John Dossett, who was so terrific as Herbie in that last Gypsy revival, and Michael Comsty, who's pretty great in everything, and co-starred in last season's political drama, Democracy. Directing The Constant Wife is Mark Brokaw, who's best known for staging Paula Vogel's award-winning How I Learned to Drive. He was also the director of last year's revival of Reckless that starred Mary Louise Parker. Now, The Constant Wife has been done 4 times on Broadway since its 1929 American premiere, but this is the first new mounting since 1975, and it's at the American Airlines Theater on West 42nd Street in a limited run through August 7th. I have a couple more non-Broadway shows to tell you about on Inside Broadway, but first I gotta remind you that if you're not subscribing to Performing Arts Insider, you are missing the full Broadway experience. If you're not getting listings and reviews and facts and figures and gossip and news every month on your doorstep, in your mailbox, it's like you're waiting downstairs in the lounge while the big musical is playing upstairs. No other theater magazine gives you as much information in such a straightforward way as Performing Arts Insider, a Bible of the theater industry for 61 years. Actors use it, directors, theater owners, people who book guests for major TV and radio stations. Get the guide the professionals use. Go to performingartsinsider.com to subscribe, because listeners to Dave's Gone By get 10% off. If you want to call and order, call 516-295-1511, 516-295-1511. Or again, all the subscription info and sample pages of the magazine are online at performingartsinsider.com. Makes a great gift and an indispensable guide. Performing Arts Insider, it's Broadway the best way. Continuing inside Broadway, we go off Broadway for a couple of productions opening tonight. And we turn poetical for a one-woman show called Border Clash, A Litany of Desires, opening tonight at 45 Bleecker in Greenwich Village. Jamaica-born Stacey Ann Chin stars. You may remember her as the vibrant versifier from Broadway's Deaf Poetry Jam a couple of years back. She is the one with the big afro and the bigger cleavage. In Border Clash, Stacey Ann Chin looks back at her childhood, rejection, family problems, and coming of age as a political activist and lesbian. Two great tastes that taste great together. No, but seriously, Border Clash opens at 45 Bleecker tonight for what I believe is an open run. Also opening tonight is a staging of a little-known dark comedy by Athol Fugard, one of our great living masters. Fugard is best known for his apartheid-era plays from his native South Africa, shows like Master Harold and the Boys and Sizwe Banzi is Dead. But People Are Living There, from 1969, is one of his few works that isn't about politics. It's the story of a feisty landlady determined to celebrate her 50th birthday with a party, even though everything in her life is going wrong. The Specific Theatre Company is doing a revival, which has been reset for this production from South Africa to a boarding house in New Jersey. People Are Living There plays now through July 24th at the Peter Norton Space at 555 West 42nd Street, just off 11th Avenue. And finally, on Inside Broadway, in honor of tonight's special guest, don't forget that Mandy Patinkin will be doing a special benefit concert of Mama Lotion tonight at Carnegie Hall. It's an evening of Yiddish song, all the classics, plus some English tunes given a Yiddish spin by the star of Chicago Hope and Evita, and next season's new TV series, Criminal Minds. Eli Wallach and Ann Jackson will also be honored at tonight's Carnegie Hall concert, with the proceeds going to the Volksbühne Yiddish Theater, the oldest continuing Yiddish theater company in America. They were founded in 1915, during the golden age of 2nd Avenue. They went through kind of a rough patch in the late 90s, but now they're back with a new artistic team. They got great reviews for this year's review on 2nd Avenue, which may in fact come back next season. So it's totally worth supporting the Volksbühne Theater by seeing their shows, donating to their programs, or running on over to Carnegie Hall tonight to see Mama Lotion. Tickets range from $50 to $500. Call 212-213-2120, 213-2120 to support Yiddish theater in America. Without that legacy, Broadway as we know it would not exist. And without Broadway, what would I do with this segment? I'd have to call it Inside which is meaningless. Much better to call it what it is, Inside Broadway. We've just been inside Broadway, thanks to TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider. Hi, this is Dave Lefkowitz of Dave's Gone By, reminding you to tune in every Thursday night at 8 and 11 Eastern Time for the best of Dave's Gone By on Live365.com and the special channel DFSX Radio. All you gotta do is go to my website, davesgoneby.org, click on the link, and you can hear a classic episode of Dave's Gone By every Thursday night, 8 and 11. Go to dfsxradio.com for more of me. Print it, copy it, send it as a gift. All that and more at Hewlett Minuteman Press. Full-service printer, family-owned and operated since 1975. Photocopying, printing, invitations, engraved gifts, Minuteman, 1315 Broadway in Hewlett. Call 516-569-5577, 569-5577, or on the web at hewlett.minutemanpress.com. Mention Dave's Gone By and get a special price.
In dem Beis Amigdash, in a Winkelheide, sitzt die Almone, was sie ein allein. Hier bin Jochel Liedelein, witzige Seide, und singt ihn zum Schlafen a Liedele schein. Und Liedele Stiegele, steht a Klo weiß Ziegele. Das Ziegele ist geboren Handlin. Das wird sein dein Bau, Rosenkäs mit Mandeln. Schau, Schiedele Schloss, es wird kommen a Zeit von Eisenbahnen, sie werden verpflichten die ganze Welt. Eiserne Wegen wirst du euch spannen und wirst in dem euch verdienen viel Geld. Und als du wirst werden reich Idele, sollst du sich der Monnen in dem Liedele, Rosenkäs mit Mandeln. Das wird sein dein Bau, Idele wird als handeln. Schlaf, Idele, schlaf, Idele, schlaf, Idele, schlaf.
Shalom, shalom, goddammit. Welcome to this segment of the Dave's Gone By radio program. I am so pleased, I am so honored, I am so thrilled to have this next guest with us. It is a machaya to have this person to talk to because he is so well known in the entertainment industry, both for doing regular things and for doing Jewish things. And we're going to talk about both with the amazing, the wonderful, the beautiful Mandy Patinkin. Mandy, how are you today, damn it? Mandy?
You know what? I'm going to cut this interview short. I didn't realize that there was a lot of foul language, accompanied with it.
There's not four-legged words. This is radio.
That's the way you were saying things. So I wish you well and take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, damn it. What a fabulous, fascinating interview that was with Mandy Patinkin. What the hell is Mandy from anyway? Was it short for Mandrew? I don't know, but what? He hears the word God damn it, his head explodes? I've been using that word since I was born, before I was born. In the womb I was saying God damn it, God damn it. Well, let me tell you something. Big shot, big deal. Who cares, Mandy Patinkin, huh? I was not going to be using any four-legged words, three-legged words. God is a three-legged word. I can't even count the number of letters in God damn it, in Hebrew or in English. But let me tell you, you will get yours, you son of a bitch. I mean, you were very nice. You weren't nasty the way you are, apparently, to all your underlings and folks like that. But no, you were calm and approachable, and you sounded like we were going to have a wonderful interview. But, then you heard my voice, and then, he's too Jewish. He's angry Jewish. He might use a bad, naughty word that I never heard before. First of all, you're lucky the interview didn't go through, because I wasn't just going to ask you about your stupid new show on Channel 2, I think it is, where you're playing some kind of investigative thingy. Who cares what the hell it was called? Quantico. It was a bad title. You probably thought of it. Then they changed the name to Criminal Minds, which you probably have, you son of a bitch. And then, what else are you doing? Oh, yes, you're doing this big deal thing for the Yiddish theater. You're doing Mama Lotion. Oh, yes, you don't want to offend all the 60 and 70 and 80-year-old Jews on the way to the nursing homes by saying or thinking anything bad. Oh, no. So then you got to do this Yiddish stuff that's everything was sweetness and light for Jews when they were singing these songs. Now, the Russians were smashing things in pogroms. They were torturing Jews. There was a blood libel because everybody thought Jews went out and killed children. But no, we just sing the nice songs about the Cheder. No, Jews were never herded into ovens by Nazis. That didn't actually happen. We don't talk about it. We only say the nice words, and we only think the good things. Like you apparently did when you were doing, what was that show? The Wild Party. Oh, remember that? Where they didn't know how crazy you would get when you're throwing people around on stage, and they didn't know when you would show up half the time? What was going on there? Mr. Big Shot Mandy Patinkin, King. And I couldn't even get your name right for all these years. I didn't know if there was an M in it or an N in it. What a strange Chicago name you have. Is it Patimkin? Or like the Cadillacs now. Those. Oh, no, wait, that was Patemkin. See, I can't even you got me so mad I can't even think straight. And I'm saying goddamn it because I'm mad, as opposed to usually when I say goddamn it just because I like saying goddamn it. Oh, my God. And I was going to ask you some nice questions, too, about Bernadette Peters, because you did a CD with her for children's things. Oi, what am I going to say? A bad word to offend the children? No. But and also what it was like to work on Sunday in the Park with George, one of the great musicals of our time, even though it still would have been better if you'd done something like Sunday in the Park with Moish. Or with Irving, because I do not understand this Surratt, this painter guy. What the hell is up with that? It looks like a nice, pretty picture, then you come up close to it, and what do you see? You see dots. All it is goddamn dots. You're looking straight at it, I don't know what the hell to make of it. You have to walk halfway around the block. You have to go 2 miles away to see what is in the stupid picture. That's not a painting. A painting is you put a thing, a couple of brush strokes, and boom, there's a dog playing poker. Now that, to me, is art. What's the matter, Mandy? Mandela couldn't take a little good-natured ribbing, huh? From a man of the cloth, huh? A little worried about being perceived as too Jewish? Didn't you have that fight with John Simon? I was going to ask you about that, about the critic John Simon, who said nasty things about you in print a few years ago, that they didn't like your voice and that you were too Jewish-looking and too Jewish-sounding. And now John Simon, who's also Jewish, is out on his ass. He's fired from New York Magazine. We'd love to know. Do you want to gloat? Do you want to take the high road? Although, knowing you, probably not. So, there's another question I didn't get to ask. I wasn't going to ask even about the goddamn Crestor that you're advertising every other minute on the TV. That you're pushing drugs from drug companies that are making gazillions of dollars in this country, giving some of those gazillions to you, and then charging people up the tuchus for health care insurance. What about that, Mr. Mandy Patinkin? Well, let me tell you something. I hope your television show is a flop, I hope any Broadway show you touch becomes the next Starmites. No, wait, Starmites wasn't bad. What should it be? The next, I'll have to think about that one. But, no, it should all be poison. It should all be fat and cold and stale, borscht in people's mouths. What you do until you apologize to the rabbi for being so not abrupt. You weren't abrupt, I'll give you that. You were polite. But still, that was fooey on you. Fooey from the rabbi. On behalf of myself, my dear wife Miriam Libby, and our 20 children, I promise you better interviews next time in Yirtzeh Hashem. Bye.
I could while away the hours.
Sing any more slowly, you will be whiling away an hour.
Conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching, if I only had a brain.
You said it, Mandy, not me.
I'd unravel every riddle for any individual in trouble or in pain.
Which I wish on you.
With the thoughts I'd be thinking, I could be another Lincoln.
Good. Where's John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
If I only had a brain.
How about some working testicles and a sense of humor while you're at it?
Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore. I could think of things I've never thunk before.
Yeah, that's a convincing chuckle.
And then I'd sit and think some more.
Yeah? Why don't you think about the people you hurt, you goddamn anti-to-know son of a bitch?
I would not be just a nothing, my head all full of stuffing.
It's full of something, all right.
My heart all full of pain. And perhaps I deserve you, and be even worthier of you.
You're not worthy of the pimples on the tuchus of my cat.
If I only had a brain.
Eat, eat, use, buy. Look at me. I'm the American consumer, and I want to spend my money on stores, restaurants, showrooms, travel agencies, mail-order catalogs. Sell me stuff. How do you reach me? Well, I listen to Dave's Gone By. So, if you advertise there, you'll certainly have my attention. Dave's Gone By has all the details, or email davesgoneby@aol.com for the rate card. I'm listening. Sell me what you got. Dave goes off. Dave goes off. Dave goes off. Dave goes off. Yeah, we call this segment Dave Goes Off. Off on a topic, off on a rant, off on an idea or thought that's in my head, and I just talk. It's kind of what one of the things that this program is for. And what I want to talk about today is a story that I saw in AM New York. It's one of those little baby newspapers that you get free in Manhattan. There's two of them now. I forget what the other one is, but they're both about 6 pages long, and they're sort of like real news and sort of not. It's as if you took USA Today and condensed that, as if USA Today weren't condensed enough already, you would get the stories and the stuff in AM New York. But they did have a special story of their own. I guess one of their writers was walking along and stopped into a shop in the city and was shocked, and I think perhaps rightfully so, at what he saw in the store. The writer is Justin Rocket Silverman. The middle name is Rocket, what can I tell you? An AM New York staff writer. And the story begins, they are made to look historically accurate, down to the leather of their boots and swastikas on their arms. But the lifelike Nazi dolls being sold in stores around the city have critics wondering just who would think a miniature SS officer is a cool toy. And they show a picture with the article of the Nazi dolls on sale at a place called Search and Destroy in the East Village. Well, the name of the store should give you some idea right there. Now, of course, the first person to chime in on this, or maybe it was actually the chiming in that started the writer writing about this, because he has the first quote from Assemblyman, who else? Of all the assemblymen to choose, of all the assemblymen or other politicians that represent New York and environs, whenever there's any kind of a Jewish issue, they go right to Dov Hikind, whom, I'm glad there's someone who is that ferociously Jewish and Zionist on the political team of New York, but at the same time, he's a pit bull. I mean, there's just something a little bit too much and off about him. People complain sometimes that my rabbi character or someone like Jackie Mason is too Jewish. Dov Hikind is too Jewish. And he's the one with the beard and the yarmulke, which is fine, but he's always angry. I mean, he is the stereotype that people sort of see the rabbi as. He is always finding cause for amazing and vituperative objection, sometimes correctly, as I think we'll find this time, and sometimes just because he is who he is. But his quote is amazing. He says about the Nazi dolls, quote, It is absolutely sick. I'm just beyond being able to articulate the sickness of that. How insulting it is, unquote. I like that phrase, beyond being able to articulate the sickness of that. Although I think he articulates it pretty well. It's sick. Heiken goes on, and of course you can't not say, quote, that is the symbol of the worst hate in history. The symbol is responsible for 6 million Jews slaughtered by the Nazis, unquote. Which again is absolutely true, and for once applicable to the case at hand, because when you get someone like a Heiken, no matter what the issue is, it boils down to 6 million Jews being killed in the Holocaust. You know, if it has to do with Jewish settlements on the West Bank, it's like, well, we need to secure Israel, and we need those settlements because 6 million Jews were killed on the West Bank. Well, gosh, they're serving food in a kosher restaurant that's actually not completely kosher, and that goes against our laws, and that's an insult because 6 million Jews died on the... I mean, it's sort of... I'm not making fun of the Holocaust, God forbid, but I'm making fun of the way it is used sometimes by politicians and speakers as that basic root from which everything else emanates. It's like Janet Jackson shouldn't have showed her boobs on that last Super Bowl, not the most recent one, but a year ago, because, well, it's insulting and it makes black women look bad, and if you insult black people, you're also insulting Jews by extension, and when you start insulting Jews, well, it's a slippery slope going all the way back down to the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were killed. So, okay, I'm teasing, but at the same time, Heiken has a point. What business do these stores in New York City have selling Nazi memorabilia? And I know there's always a market for it, and if you go on eBay, you can get old rifles and belts and probably armbands and whatever else it is. It's not illegal here, as it is in Germany, let's say, where Mein Kampf is illegal, and I think the swastika and other symbols of Nazi-era hatred are even illegal to display or to own. Here, and in fact, what was kind of funny was I did a News Gone By story a year or so ago where there's a winemaker in Austria, I think it is, where they were doing this series of historically something wines where the labels had different characters of them, photographs of major players during World War II. So you had a Churchill bottle and a Stalin bottle, and you had a Hitler bottle, a bottle of wine with Hitler on it. And the most popular place it was selling was Germany, where people would buy them out of the country, sneak them in, and have them, God knows why, because I guess the forbidden thing is the exact thing you want the most. They're not allowed to have a Hitler bottle of wine, so of course they want a Hitler bottle of wine rather than Liebfrau Milch with some grapes on it. So, anyway, the story goes on to say, the story in AM New York says, the dolls are manufactured in limited editions by Staten Island-based In the Past Toys. To be fair, again, this toy maker also makes a lifelike Fidel Castro doll, and their marketing is to history buffs and collectors. So again, it's a specialized field. They're the people who collect Nazi daggers and perhaps even Nazi uniforms are not folks who are out there marching or hating Jews or trying to be skinheads, although we really don't know. In fact, this is a rather weird thing that goes on later to say in the article, that they specifically charge high prices for these dolls, much higher than they're actually worth, so to speak, on the market, because they don't just want kids or any old idiot going in to buy a Nazi doll because they'll believe in it. They want specific collectors who want it for a very different kind of reason. And yet, I agree with Dov Heiken, it's still kind of sick. Search and Destroy, the shop, apparently, according to the article, also displays T-shirts with Nazi symbols and pairs of swastika earrings. I mean, what are they appealing to? What is the desire for that? I remember I was coming out of a show sometime 10, maybe 15 years ago in Lower Manhattan, walking around and seeing 2 blocks away some stumbly, bumbly young teenager, looking kind of scary looking, wearing a ratty T-shirt with a big giant swastika on it. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to run over and try and kill him, but God knows, A, he could have killed me, or B, what trouble I could have gotten into, or even if I could have caught up with him. I was just so stunned. I don't know what I did. I don't think I even screamed or did anything. I think I rubbed my eyes because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. and yet at the same time it is legal here. If you want to wear a Nazi swastika on your shirt, then you are allowed to. The ACLU says you should be allowed to. I think sure, but then you should also be ready for any repercussions that happen. If somebody decides to throw a rock at you because you're wearing a Nazi shirt, I'm not going to be the first one to call a cop or an ambulance for you. Heiken said, but here's where Heiken turns into the lunatic that we all know he is. He was fine. I mean, he's really in high dudgeon. He's angry. He's saying it's sick. It's terrible. Fine. But then he says, and this is a quote, if I wasn't leaving for Israel tonight, I would personally go there and smash the guy's head in. You can quote me on that, unquote. See, this is why Dov Hiking will never be president. First of all, I don't even know who the guy is. I assume he means the owner of the store selling the paraphernalia and the shirts and the Nazi dolls. But the fact that I personally go and smash the guy's head in. But it's so also, and I hate to say this, but it's so like a Jewish person to sort of say, well, I would beat the hell out of him, but I'm going to be very, very far away. I'm going to Israel tonight, so I can say these horrible, nasty words and threaten him, but I'm not going to be in the country until this simmers down what I just said. But the equally funny, and even more stupid, is what the owner of the shop says, the owner of Search and Destroy. Now, he said that, okay, one customer flew into a rage when he saw the swastika-clad toys and almost shattered this display case. Again, owner MTOR, if you sell something like that, you have to be ready for certain people to walk in. It's like waving a red flag in front of a bull. If you wave swastika and Nazi paraphernalia in front of certain types of Jews, probably myself included, the least you're going to get is an argument. The worst you're going to get is some smashed up merchandise. The worst you could get is hurt. And again, yes, it's a free country, but maybe there should be certain limits. But the stupid thing that this guy says, his name is Panya Ankyo. The quote is, "We're Oriental. We have yellow skin. How can we be Nazis?" That was his response to all this, of like why a store would sell Nazi paraphernalia and yet not be contributing to something evil or not be sponsoring something really bad and evil. And then what I say to Mr. Ankyo's quote is the fact that, well, how can you be Nazis if you're yellow and I guess, I don't know if you're Japanese, but certainly the Japanese in World War II were a lot closer to what the Nazis were than what the Americans and the Jews were. I mean, it was the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor and keeping America at war that probably kept World War II from ending in 1944 early, rather than in the middle of 1945, just because we were fighting the war on two fronts. So don't give me this nonsense that Japanese can't be Nazis. Certainly the whole our country, rising sun, that kind of nonsense belief is as close to fascistic Nazism as Nazism itself. But I don't know. I mean, again, I do have to go the other way and say, as a person who's dedicated to personal freedom, to freedom to say what you want on the radio, to think what you want, to write what you want, to use dirty words and not have the FCC blip you or take you off the air or fine you $4 million, to be able to make the movies you want to make, to sing the songs and sell the songs on CD that you want to sell. So why not sell something ugly? And the fact is, before the Nazis got a hold of it, the swastika was not any kind of a negative symbol. It was being used by American Indians and probably other tribal cultures long before that. It was woven into certain kinds of Navajo rug patterns because it was a symbol of good luck. Now, I think that the swastika was turned another way. It wasn't the twisted cross. It was the two Z patterns went a little differently, and I think they were on a tilt. And somehow that was kind of different, and that meant happy, good fortune, luck thing. But, yeah, now, since the Nazis got a hold of it, it is a symbol of evil, which isn't fair to the swastika. I understand that. It's sort of like even 9/11. Nobody wants to plan a big party or a happy event on 9/11 because of the date that it is. 5 years ago, nobody would have thought anything of it. Well, yeah, because September 11th, we're going to have a big barbecue before school starts. whatever. But now the date itself has connotations of evil that were glommed onto it. Even, and who knows if it always will, or maybe not. I mean, look at the Beatles' Helter Skelter. We don't listen to the White Album and think, evil song. No, it was co-opted by Charles Manson into something evil momentarily. I think the swastika has a few hundred, maybe 1,000 years before the evil part kind of sloughs off of it. But I think what people can do is begin with what Dov Hiking did, speak out against it, say, no, this is really, I know it's free speech, but it's not appropriate. This shouldn't be sold in stores. People should not be buying or making this stuff. And if you really feel strongly about it, don't smash up the shop. Go into the shop, talk to the owner, annoy the people there, annoy this Onkyo guy, argue with him, keep other people from coming into the store. When you're in the store, make a scene, make a nuisance, point out to people what is on sale there. Or if they call the cops and they're not allowed to be in the store, stand 100 yards from the store and protest and tell people, this store sells Nazi garbage. Don't buy it. And even if it's not meant to be for skinheads and people like that, even if it's meant to be kitsch, there's something a little sick about the kitschiness. Well, let me have your opinion on all this stuff. Everything from Nazi memorabilia to Dov Hiking to Israel to, the Japanese World War II, this show, life in general. Dave's Gone By at AOL.com is the place for you to go off and let me know your thoughts. D-A-V as in Victor, E-S, Gone By at AOL.com. I want to hear from you just as you have heard from me, and you will hear more from me on this episode of Dave's Gone By right after this. Fine wine, great books, priceless antiques. All that's missing is something to listen to. Of course, old episodes of Dave's Gone By. The music, the comedy, the perceptive talk, and now a layer of nostalgia. Delightful. Entire shows preserved on compact disc, any episode you choose. Just $14 shipping included. No home is complete without Dave's Gone By on CD. So visit davesgoneby.com because you're worth it.
World Weird Web, 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 World...
Well, this has certainly been an eclectic Dave's Gone By with elements of language and race coming into play, and we're not done yet, because it's time for the World Weird Web, where we look at odd and unusual and strange and fun and kooky sites on the internet. And tonight I want to thank the Long Island Press for bringing to my attention. Actually, it wasn't like they called me and said, hey Dave, you gotta read this. It was mentioned in their newspaper, which, by the way, I happen to write for. And Long Island Press is free, by the way, at, I guess, various stores, and certainly you can see them in those kiosk booth thingies at Long Island Railroad stations. Anyway, one of the things they mentioned was a website called ni9e.com. Don't know, it's a rather difficult thing to say, although when you see it, you sort of remember it. It's the letter N-I, number 9, and then E.com. And the reason you should go to this website is something very, very funny there. And it's one particular page that it brings you to, and then at the bottom there are all these other things that you can surf that I'll tell you about. But the main one is something really, really funny and has to do with parental advisory stuff, which, we run into not only on this show, but certainly any radio show that's come up against the FCC has been worried about it. Anybody who makes popular music puts that little sticker. Now, I've had my spiel about that, but one of the cool things done on this site, and it must have taken them like hours to do this, even with modern technology, is they took a classic rap album by the group NWA, and I'm going to say the full name because it's part of their name, whatever the FCC wants to think about it, but it was a band called Niggers with Attitude, or probably Niggas, A-Z, with Attitude, with Ice Cube and Eazy-E, and I forget who the third rapper was, but they hit the ground running with their first album called Straight Outta Compton. Great song. and a bunch of other numbers that were really part of the nascent gangster rap sound. I mean, Public Enemy was doing hardcore rap too, but it wasn't gangster. It was actually very positive and positive message stuff. And Chuck D was militant, but in a very sort of acceptable way. NWA was just out there with guns and cars and chicks and hoes and, all the bad stuff, sometimes in a funny way, sometimes in an extremely angry way, very confrontational. But it's still, even today, a lot of it is good, powerful music. And I think still my favorite rapper would be Ice Cube for a lot of his solo work later on. And what was kind of funny, and why this comes up now, is that on June 9th, when I did my other show on this radio station, it's called Filler Up, and it's an hour of just eclectic music. What I often do is tie that to various people's birthdays. Like if a composer or singer-songwriter is having a birthday that night or that week, I'll play 3 or 4 of his tracks. And so I was doing that with Ice Cube, who was born either on the 9th or right around that time, and had to go through his CDs and find songs either that I could play without having to touch, which was rare, or I had to jettison some songs that I think are his best, just because it would have taken me about 2 hours to cut out all the bad stuff, and still it would have sounded terrible because I don't have lots of things to throw in there and keep the beat steady. It's not like I'm working on some special fancy program. I'm just doing some fairly basic rudimentary digital editing on a mini-disc deck. So I did grab a couple from 1 or 2 from the NWA days and 1 or 2 from his solo albums. The interesting thing is going through all that, even on songs that didn't have a lot of naughty words in them. It was quite a bit. Every 15 seconds I had to cut something, either the F word or the S word or the N word that I had just said. And okay, you do it, and radio stations do it all the time. I mean, you hear rap music playing on half the stations on New York radio, but they blip them, they clip them. You can't understand what the hell they're talking about, because half the words are chopped out of the sentences, but at least the songs are getting played in some format. Well, ni9e.com went the reverse. They went the other way, and they took only the dirty, filthy, nasty words from the Straight Outta Compton album, and they strung them all together and did just the list of songs. You can click and listen on MP3 right on your computer, and all the selections run between 10 and 25 seconds long, because all they are is just the dirty words. Now, you figure, well, what is the point of it? The point of it is it's hysterically funny, because you put on a song like Straight Outta Compton or F the Police or Gangsta Gangsta, and instead of hearing the actual song, it's just S, 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 F, 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 S, F, S, N, N, one after another. I'm describing it. It sounds vaguely amusing. Please go to ni9e.com, and you'll hear just how funny it is when they're all strung together like that. And it also proves something. It proves that people who say rap is just a string of dirty words. This actually shows that it isn't, because when you abstract those words, it's only about 20 seconds of the actual song. You see how ridiculous they are alone out of context, and how words are essentially meaningless out of context, and it's ridiculous for the FCC or people to get upset about them because they're just sounds. And, as I said, you can hear on the radio with the words out and all those blips, your mind is doing backflips just trying to figure out what the rap person is saying without those words. So obviously they're intrinsic to the song within the context, so there's something real going on there, and not just F this, F that, N this, and BS that. Aside from just going to ni9e.com for that, again, as I said, once you flip through those Straight Outta Compton songs, which won't take you long. As I said, they're all short, and any song that doesn't have any dirty words in it at all, the track is 0 seconds. It's like I played I Ain't the One on Filler Up, and there were no dirty words in it. I played it straight, and so it doesn't last any time at all on this website. But the website is also about computer-generated art. So once you get through the NWA stuff, there's other things to look at. There's a very clever computer-generated thing where they have Bob Dylan say, his Subterranean Homesick Blues playing in the background, and you see just this blank white screen that slowly starts to get filled in very slowly with the drawn outline of his face back in the classic era with the dark sunglasses and the big hair. But what you're seeing is, it isn't just a line that's drawing around the screen, but little phrases of Victoria's Secret, Victoria's Secret, Victoria, and they all sort of pile up together and create his image in outline. And then they just keep on piling up until they basically obscure him altogether. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's kind of cool to see how it starts and takes shape. So there's that, and there's also other sorts of little mini short films and short digital cartoon things. Certainly worth a look, but if for no other reason, if just for a laugh, when perhaps the kids and grandma aren't around, ni9e.com for NWA, and a bunch of words like, well, you know. Back after this.
AM 1240 is the place to go if you want to listen to great radio, like silly and smart talk on Dave's Gone By. Thursdays at 7, just give it a try. Do you like the future? Well, what could be sweller than psychic predictions from famous George Kellner? Into your future she'll cleverly delve. Catch her on Wednesdays, 11 to 12. Fridays at 6, you got Bonnie Graham. Love and romance fill up her program. Hear her suggestions on Long Island's dating. Then go and find love, 'cause it beats Master Saturday nights from midnight to 3. Raucous rock music and wild comedy. Jimmy and Robin behind the mic. 3 solid hours of humor you like. Opinions in politics, find out what's new. Sundays at 7, the weekly worldview. Sometimes you'll laugh and sometimes you'll groan. That's part of the course with the great Joe Salzone. Great programming all week long on WGBB from Long Island's dating. Friday nights at 6 to Joyce Keller. Radio Psychic Thursday nights at 11. Jimmy and Robin, rock and roll comedy midnights on Saturdays, and current events on Joe Salzone's Worldview Sunday evenings at 7. So there is the line-up on GBB. And don't forget Thursday nights at 7 for Dave's Gone By, and then Thursday nights at 9 for Fill Her Up, both featuring me. So many programs, please listen to them on GBB Radio 1240 AM, on GBB Radio 1240 AM, on GBB Radio.
Welcome back to Dave's Gone By on this June 16th. So happy you were able to join us for such a multifaceted show. I want to thank Rabbi Sol Solomon for, well, trying to do an interview with Mandy Patinkin. I think instead of a benefit for the folks being a Yiddish theater, we should take up the collection to buy Mandy a sense of humor. Either that or trade his lifetime supply of Crestor for some Ellaville. But don't hold it against the folks being out. They're really worth preserving. Our thanks to publicist Beck Lee for doing what he could under the circumstances. Thanks, as always, to WGBB Program Director Tom Ross. Thanks to Marty Glynn and Jonathan Slaff of TheaterPod.com, working tirelessly to put more episodes of Dave's Gone By on the web for everybody to listen to free of charge. TheaterPod.com. Thanks to our beloved sponsors, Hewlett Minuteman Press, 1315 Broadway in Hewlett. If you can create it, they can copy it, and bind it, and put it on a keychain or a mug. Hewlett Minuteman Press, 10% off for Dave's Gone By listeners. And the same goes for Performing Arts Insider Theater magazine, published by Total Theater and worth every penny of the subscription price. More information at performingartsinsider.com. Now, for more Dave's Gone By, don't forget that right this minute, and again at 11 p.m. Eastern, you can go to my website, davesgoneby.org, and hear a vintage episode of this show. Tonight's episode is from November 2003 and features a sketch about, go figure, Michael Jackson. Check it out. Just click the link from davesgoneby.org, which brings you to DFSX Radio on the Live 365 Internet portal. Now that sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Just go to the website, point, and click. And twist your dial back to WGBB an hour from now, 9 p.m., for Filler Up. That's my DJ show. All music, usually an eclectic stew of pop and rock and jazz and show tunes. Tonight, though, a pretty mellow collection dedicated to Mrs. Me, a.k.a. Joyce, my beloved and wonderful wife. It is her birthday today, so I wish her a mazel in Folks Being a Talk. I wish her tremendous amounts of love and success and joy in her life. And she's been working like crazy on her doctoral dissertation. And sometimes it seems like she's never going to push that rock up and over. But I am sure she will. She deserves everything good. So I'm dedicating some good music to her on Fill Her Up Tonight. Some of her favorites: The Cranberries, Fiona Apple, Björk, Dido, Bob Marley, all from 9 to 10 tonight. Next week on Dave's Gone By, a visit from actor-director Paul Bucock. Go ahead, make your jokes about his name now, he's heard them all. But you will hear more about him because he's got a one-man show going up at the Flea Theater all through July. It's all about how everything you need to know about life and politics, good and bad, is encapsulated by the glorious game of baseball. So, sports fans, theater fans, goofy symbolism fans, be with us next Thursday, June 23rd, at 7 p.m. for the 132nd edition of Dave's Gone By. Until then, don't miss your days going by. This is Dave Lefkowitz. Good night. Psst, for a bad time, rent Maxi. How much did that gross worldwide? $12, $13? And gone by.
Hab ich es habe, und sen will ich mir leihen. Ich will nehmen mein Mädel und gehen mit ihr gleich. Ich will sie traktieren, mit Wurzelfecken und Feigen. Ich will sie kuschen, glätten, sie wird losen, sie wird schweigen. Ei, 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 wir sitzen wohl und fein. Ei, 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 wird mir doch so fein. Ei, 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 wir sitzen wohl und fein. Ei, 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 wird mir doch so fein. Ei, 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 realistisch weiß wie alle Dick. Etwas war mich, das aber was trug ist richtig. Heute suchst es heute, was am Menschen als ist richtig. Ich verkelle realistisch weiß wie alle Dick. Ich seh, hab ich so, und sen will ich mir borgen. Und ich will Menschen mehr mit all das gibt versorgen. Ich will hier doch weiten, als schönem Hals kadellen. Und ich will mit mein Mädel an und Patrick schnellen. Amen.
Amen.
Dem rechten Fuß rein, dem rechten Fuß raus, dem rechten Fuß rein und mit dieser Schokoläus. Mit kalter Hockey und mit rechts noch dann ist der Hock mehr Kreuz. Dann hab ich's vor und sind wir nicht mitnehmen. Und ich will mein Mädel an, wir können ihn verdienen. Ich will ihr Reitboyen, ein Stiebel ab und sie wird an ihr bringen, doch ab und ein Stück mit Kindern. Mama, kann er schlafen mir? Mama, kann er speit mit mir? Hab ich voll und sen will ich mir suchen und ich will mein Mädel abwägen und was schucken. Ich will sie behandeln, feine Leben, gibt's doch die lieber Menschen noch mit Nase Mädel. Ai, 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 das ist ein Beutel fein. Ai, 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 das mir doch Level sein. Ai, 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 das ist ein Beutel fein. Dann ist der Chor.